Okay, well, I want to thank you all for coming out on this lovely afternoon to hear some words, some scriptures from a couple of rap icons. All right, so I'm going to do a proper introduction, then we're going to get into it. We're going to open up the floor after the conversation for some questions and answers, question and answer period. So if you have some questions and if you have them burning, we'll wait until the end, all right? Okay, so first up, sitting to my immediate right is Antonia D. Reed, known professionally as Bahamadia. All right. Now, Bahamadia is a remarkable American hip-hop artist and vocalist. If you are familiar with and do not adore her silky, smooth, buttery, and distinct vocals, then what exactly are you doing here? Her debut album, Collage, featured the timeless track You Know How We Do, and also this ridiculous posse cut called Three the Hard Way. That track is ridiculous, all right? Three the Hard Way. Look it up on YouTube. And also, too, she had independently released an EP called BB Queen in 2000 and a full-length album, Good Rap Music, in 2005, in addition to a flurry of singles that are out there in the music ether. Bahamadia has also collaborated with a who's who of musical icons from across the black music spectrum, including The Roots, Erykah Badu, Sweetback, and it just goes on and on. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Bahamadia. And over to sitting to Bahamadia's right is Ishmael Butler, known professionally as Shabazz Palaces, all right? All right, yeah. Now, Ish has a number of aliases and nom de plumes, you know, Palasier, Lazaro, like a bunch, you know what I mean? Cherry Wine, for those heads who, you know, dig in the crates, all right? Ish has been active since 2009. Shabazz Palace has been active since 2009, and he's released a number of studio albums and EPs. Shabazz Palace's collaborations include guest features with or from Flying Lotus, Thundercat, The Satisfaction, among many others. And there's this one notable collaboration we're going to get into, which is a supergroup called Woke with Flying Lotus and Thundercat. All right, you guys put out this amazing song called The Lavishments of Light Looking, featuring George Clinton. All right. And Shabazz Palaces also forms part of the Black Constellation, Seattle-based collective, including visual artists, fashion designers, and musicians. Give it up for Shabazz Palaces. Okay, so we're here to talk about, it's the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, all right? It's been a long time, 50 years. Now, I can recall, I'm a longtime music documentarian journalist. I had written for The Source magazine for 12 years. It used to be called the Bible of Hip Hop Culture. And I can actually recall a time when rap music wasn't even considered real music, all right? Those of us who are 35, 40 and over, people thought it was gonna be a fad, a trend, kind of like Rubik's Cubes and leg warmers, Chia Pets. It would just come and go. And I wanted to ask Bahamadia and Shabazz Ish, what are your reflections now that we're into the 50th year? All right, what are your reflections on hip-hop culture? Because we've all been doing this for decades. Okay, I'm going to start with Shabazz.
Shoot, I think when I heard Rapper's Delight, so, you know, you didn't hear it on the radio because they didn't really play rap songs on the radio, so you would hear it in the neighborhood. I was young, but just the song was kind of long, maybe like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and they were just talking the whole way through. Before that, I had heard an album called Hustler's Convention by Lightning Rod that my father had played, and that was like rap as well, but it was Rapper's Delight that really got me, perked up my interest in the genre. And then when Rakim came out and Boogie Down Productions, then I realized that was going to be the path that I was going to choose in life to pursue. So I was young then. It's been a long time. I've been fortunate to make music in the commercial world for a lot of years, and hip hop culturally, emotionally, really gave me direction in life and gave me passion, you know, and the pursuit of passion has allowed me to travel and meet a lot of people and go a lot of different places. So I really owe a lot to hip hop, my life really to it. So this commemorative year is important to me, just to sort of reflect and give it up to hip hop and think about the memories that I share with it and because of it, and I'm proud to be down with hip hop.
Yeah, sure. Bahamadia, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? Let's reflect.
Well, the first times I was exposed to hip hop was through like the authentic breakbeat tapes, house parties, and then my first, because I started out as a DJ. Actually, I studied percussion at Sediment House of Music a little bit in my youth. I think Amir Thompson went to that school as well. And then from there, I was DJing, got introduced to the beat break tapes. And then when I heard King Tim III, that was the first rap record that I really was like, yo, what is this? He had like breath control. It was like, the records were really long then. It's probably like you could put maybe like about 10 minutes long or 12. I don't know. To me, it seemed like an eternity. But that was the first rap record that that garnered my attention. Then when I heard Shy-Rock from Funky 4 Plus One More, I was like, oh, females do this too? And then when I had a chance to see what she looked like, I was like, oh, well, she wasn't glammed out. She just, she had on her sweats and her hair and a ponytail, all of that. I was like, wow. But when I heard Lady B to the beat, y'all, and found out that not only was she a radio personality and an integral part in the whole spectrum of the movement of hip-hop, breaking all the earlier records and, just being a host to that, her radio show and all of that, but that she rapped too, to the beat, y'all. So that was those three elements, those three pieces of history were the things that garnered my attention, and that's when I knew that this was my voice and that this is what I was. Because it's not a thing, it's who you are in terms of hip-hop. Well, from my perspective, it is.
Nice.
Yep.
So, Lady B, Shy-Rock, all right? You all look it up if you don't know who these two absolute legends are. Now, I'm based in Toronto, Canada. Any Toronto heads in here? Toronto, all right? Woo, 2 people, all right. 4. Now, Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world. And it's also, I guess one of the most sort of unlikely places to find when we talk about rap music today. Drake is from Toronto, and he's arguably the most influential and popular hip-hop musician in the world. And it's home to The Weeknd as well, Ethiopian Canadian kid. Now, you both come from cities that have a wildly interesting attachment to hip-hop. I'm going to start with Bahamadia. So you're from Philly, all right? And Philadelphia is one of those, I sort of look at it like these kind of, like a rap unicorn outlier kind of city where it has this deep, rich history. Schoolie D, which is, he recorded what is largely considered to be one of the first sort of so-called gangster rap records. He's from there. Jazzy Jeff, Freeway, Lil Dicky, Meek Mill, right? Now, as far as Philadelphia's place in hip-hop, what is it exactly? Do Philadelphians feel they have to, get the hell out of Dodge to make it? How come we don't hear so much about Philadelphia? We hear New York, Atlanta, LA, it's moved around, Houston, Toronto, but Philly, it feels to me like kind of this rich history, but still kind of gray space. So can you talk about Philly hip-hop?
The energy is visceral. People might not see us, but they definitely feel us and are impacted and influenced by us. You know what I mean? But I have to go back to Canada, though, Toronto in particular. Nefarious, Socrates,
Yes, facts.
Maestro
Socrates.
Fest, West Thrust. Like, my history is deep with Toronto because that's one of the first places outside of my own city that embraced me. And I think the sensibility is very similar. They're really, no nonsense, straight to the point. They don't need the fluff. They just want you to do what you're supposed to do, get in and get out, that sort of thing.
Yes.
It's not a fake town. They're really informative, though. But Philly, though, I think it's just like a breeding ground for like the standard for things in the arts. Like, I've noticed that every person that's monumental in moving the culture forward in many different disciplines of art has stopped through Philadelphia at some point to hone their chops, to study. They lived there, something, that's historically. And then I think it's a spiritual connotation that the city represents. Just one of excellence. So that's why I feel like the average person there in Philadelphia, sometimes you can get jaded and take your skill set for granted because it's a normalcy there for people to just thrive on a higher level. You know what I mean? Like the average person that may not even really be pursuing a professional career as an artist could probably out-rap, sing, paint, or anything, usually in the city. and it's not even their focused discipline. So that's what I've experienced my whole life in terms of being a professional artist and just being an innate Philadelphian. Because there's some transients that claim Philadelphia, but I'm talking about people that were born and bred there.
Right, yeah, high
So
artistic
that's what
integrity.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you feel that, the roots, like high artistic integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we see. Moving over to Seattle, Ish, I mean, you were born there and had, moved around, to New York, and you now presently live there. Now, when people think Seattle, they think like grunge, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. They think a bunch of different things. But it's also the home base of Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a bunch of interesting, unique, and influential, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, and it just goes on, right? And Jake One, I can't forget Jake One, heavy on the beats. Now, what would you say is Seattle's place and contribution to rap music and hip-hop culture from your perspective?
Well, Seattle, like a lot of places, when hip-hop started out in New York, it spread out from there. And each place sort of, was seduced by it, latched onto it, and then started to create their own interpretation of the genre. Seattle was no different. I'm from a neighborhood called the Central District. Went to Garfield High School. We have alumni like Quincy Jones and Jimi Hendrix and Bruce Lee. Diverse, culturally rich, curious people, adventurous people, people that seek understanding and challenge. So that neighborhood that I grew up in cultivated that in all of the young people that grew up in that neighborhood. So, I think Seattle is a place that fell in love with hip hop, interpreted in its own way over the course of many years. It's difficult for cities to get a Fresh Prince or a Drake or a, Wu-Tang Clan. That's very special. But a lot of cities always have underground and a constant confederacy of people that's making music over the years, influencing the next generation. And, some people get notoriety and get known, but that's not necessarily the measure of how rich in culture your city is, especially if you're from there. You know all the OGs and the people that got things started for the ones that came after them. So, you mentioned those people, cool contributions to hip hop, and it continues today.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, you're right here. Absolutely. Now it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and one of the first lines in the second chapter of my third book called Hip Hop World, where I talk about hip hop's expansion around the globe. I wrote that hip hop has grown up and left the hood. All right, and what I mean by that is those who are quite ignorant of the culture, they sort of have this caricature in their mind of what hip hop culture is. They're thinking it's like teens and 20-somethings wearing like tight jeans or baggy jeans or whatever, but it's been around, it's 50 years old now, right? So many of its greats and icons are grown, in their 40s, 50s, early 60s. That's what's really happening, all right? So if we think about even some of the people, the Diddy, Jay-Z, Kanye West, like they're these 50s, late 40s, and they're billionaires. Dr. Dre is like 58, and he's a billionaire, all right? So hip hop has grown up now, Now, what I wanted to ask you is Bahamadia, because I was talking to Ish about that. I have grown kids because I've been covering the culture for decades. I want to talk to you about what your offspring, your kids, because your kids are grown and are doing some very interesting things. I'm going to start with Bahamadia, your son.
My son, Majin, he's a designer. He's worked with like so many different people. All counter me though, like City Girls, Cardi B. Oh my God, I can't remember most of the mainstream people. And I think the thing that impacted them most is them seeing me since they were, like knee-high, like taking them to the radio show when I was doing radio, taking them to the studio, and they actually saw what I was doing as an entrepreneur more than a hip-hopper though. You know what I mean? And so they put their own spin on it. And particularly my son, he didn't want me to pronounce or announce him as being like a professional designer or anything like that, even though he's worked with like Zach Pose and whomever, I don't want to brag on him. I am proud though. but he just didn't want the association because he wanted to make it on his own as an individual. And I think that's one of the things that was imparted in him too. It was about individuality, carving out your own path and being courageous enough to be more of who you were created to be in that aspect. And so him seeing a live example of that was factory equipment, because that's what was embedded in me from my family, you know. So, and also, you know, articulating to them that we're not doing anything that anybody else doesn't have the power to do. It's just about resources, support, and just the willingness to pursue that career or that, you know, that goal. You know what I mean? So people think we're doing something miraculous, and we are within ourselves to pull something from out there and to have it materialize through your vessel. But at the end of the day, it's something that all of us have the ability to do, you know?
Yeah,
So
no, you're
just being a living example of that.
Yeah, it's amazing because I'll stumble into, you know, your kids, both of you. I'm going to go over to Ish in a second, but their artistic output, because your son was on the popular reality TV show Project Runway, right? So the kids, the offspring, are doing some crazy things. Ish, can you please do the same? Your son, he's this buzzing rapper for years, Lil Tracy. Like, what's going on? Let's talk about that multi-generational connection.
Yeah, well, his mother, her name's Coco. She's a singer as well, prolific singer from a group called SWV. And they, yeah, of course, they came out in the 90s, and they still perform it to this day as well. Same like Bahamadia, my son, in pursuit of his own career, he didn't really want, you know, he never came to me and said, you know, take my music and let somebody hear it. Or he got with his crew, and they had they used the internet and social media to like build a following, and then they ended up, you know, getting really famous and doing shows and stuff. And he's out on tour right now, doing a tour called 30 Nights with his crew, and it's cool. I'm out on tour, he's out on tour. We talk to each other from different places. I was in Toronto not too long ago with Diggable, and some of the people that had seen him at the club we played came also to the Diggable show, you know. So, like she said, I'm proud, you know. I let his actions speak for him, but what he's done and the way that he's done it really warms my heart. It makes me and his mother and his brothers and sisters proud, you know.
Nice,
Yeah.
it's lovely, lovely. I'm gonna stick on this theme, this idea around, because I wrote a whole chapter about it. Hip hop has grown up now, and has grown up and left the hood. You know, none of us up here are 23 and fresh out of college. You know what I mean? We've been doing this for a very long time. And so people ask me what it's like to navigate the industry as someone who's been in the culture for 30 plus years. As a publicist and a hip-hop documentarian, I wanted to throw this question over to you. Do you feel that rappers are allowed to, you know, I guess, age gracefully, you know, comparable to their rock and roll and country jazz music peers? We've been debating this for the last number of years, this idea of ageism in hip hop. Is it a real thing? Do you feel you're allowed, you know, in our culture, allowed to age gracefully, you know, or not, you know? Like our rock, I mean, Mick Jagger's, I think he's 80 years old. He has a new record coming out, right? And people are celebrating, applauding that. In our communities, is it much the same feeling, you know? Ish?
Well, I live in the States. There's ageism culturally in the States across the board. So any sort of sub-genre of that culture is going to have that aspect to it. But in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with the way you yourself play it, because how you feel is going to translate into how you behave, and thus how people treat you and react to you, you know? It's tough, though. Pop music is a young person's sport, endeavor, because it's a machine that's looking to make money, and they do it by garnering popularity. And it's youth-driven. They want young people and to do it. But at the same time, a lot of it has to do with the music that you made, what kind of staying power it has with the people that you proliferated to when it first came out. Because they're still out there, they're still alive, they still want to go hang and see some things that they remember from back in the day. So it's it is what it is. You know, you kind of have to accept the landscape and pursue your dreams according to the situation. So I haven't really found any problems with it myself, but I do know that it exists, you know?
Bahamadia?
I feel like it doesn't apply to certain people like myself. I consider myself to be a prolific artist, creative. And so it's never been a factor to me because I know that the music that I've even put out maybe 30 years plus preceded even myself. So it's like you just grow and evolve. All you're really doing though is as a seasoned statesman or practitioner in our culture particularly, because it's supposed to be perceivingly youth driven. Though I can remember like the first concert I ever saw was Sequence. They were grown, they were adults. They weren't our age. So when we went there, and this was pre-video and all this, they didn't even have their photos on the 12 inches at the time. We're like, yo, they grown. You know, that was the first thing in my mind, like, okay, these people are grown, but then they represent more substance, more. I really feel like it's a vantage point. I don't want to get all over the place to be a seasoned person in the industry. The awesome thing about hip hop in particular, though, is that if you're a multi-generational, multicultural, universally appealing type artist, you're gonna have your kids' kids coming. I've had shows where it's actually been a pop there, the husband and wife, and the grandkids there at the shows. You know, so I mean, and then when you meet these people, you're like, well, how'd you find out? Because they told me, my son told me, they told me. And then there's a resurgence of traditional hip hop from, I don't like to say 90s, but just traditional hip hop. There's a resurgence of that, and so you can see the direct effects you've had from me, particularly in the Rhapsodies, the Kendrick Lamars, Jid. I know that came from my energy. And I'm not the only one. Like there are many people that are builders and cornerstones in the industry. We happen to be two of those people, but I think it's a blessing to actually be alive physically to witness the extension of what you had the courage to usher in or be divinely ushered in. You know, so that's like, I gotta always go back to the spiritual aspect of it because everything that we do is spiritual. And particularly being like a musician. It's like a huge responsibility because you have the ability to impact and encourage perspectives and lives and help shape those lives in direction, especially in the younger people that are still in their formative years looking for some sort of direction. You become like a hope to them. But I think in being yourself and being transparent, you're showing a level of humanism that they can connect and relate to. You know, so you don't want to be a prisoner of it or alienated by it, just humble enough to offer what your understanding of living or whatever that subject is that you do, that you perform, or service you provide. That's it.
For sure. No, I appreciate your honesty there. Appreciate that, yeah. I would say, so a lot of, I guess, rap critics, you know, I would say that are perhaps maybe 35 and older, we'll even say 40 and older, rap critics, rap purists, that are online on social media and running blog sites and contributing to, you know, influential media that consistently claim that, you know, the artistic integrity of much of the commercial rap, hip hop now, it's not as pure. It doesn't feel as genuine. It doesn't feel, the bars aren't the same. It's not like, you know, MC like Queen Latifah, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G rap. They're like, nah, there's like this golden era, you know, where it's Big Daddy Kane and it just goes on and on. They don't feel it's as strong, and a lot of rap critics, that's Googleable, you know. They just don't feel commercial rap is as strong now. Now, as I stated earlier, I used to write for the Source magazine, and we had this section called the Record Report, where we would, you know, rate albums. You know, 5 mics means it's a fantastic, you know, top tier, 5 out of 5 mics. It's a brilliant album, you know, and then, you know, 2 mics, it's like not so great. 3 is mediocre. Do you feel that rap, so what we had back then, I guess it was more called like quality control, maybe a gatekeeping function. Do you feel that rap music today needs some kind of quality control?
I feel like art is indicative of the times. And it's a distinct difference between lifestyle and the commercialism component. So if you're talking about people on the mainstream, those are people that are business people, and their whole objective is to sell out. Their whole objective is to monetize every aspect of the perceived skill set. So to me, it just boils down to you as an individual artist deciding which road that you want to take, being honest and starting out initiating that path for yourself. You know what I mean? It's like some people get frustrated. I can always tell when somebody is green to the business aspect of industry, when they get frustrated about not getting airplay, when they get frustrated about not getting booked at certain things. It's because you don't understand the components behind the scenes. Like, you don't understand that mainstream radio's main target is advertising, marketing. So then they have to support the soundtrack to that, and that would be the people that aren't usually not of substance, the trendy people or whatever, but the people that are in it, innately in it to create, will find the path and connect to the people that are supposed to. You know, I've been in this industry almost 30 years, and I tour at my leisure. I knew that when I came in, I was 27 years old with 2 children when I came in the game, and I knew that I was going to have a legacy that was going to precede me. I knew that when I transitioned physically, that they were going to be able to Google me, and I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be a person of integrity that my grandchildren and everybody, you know, the generations that were, you know, after me could look back and say, this is what my mom did. This is what my mother was about. You know what I mean? And that extended to the little girls in the community. Like to some people, I have been a person that they didn't think was accessible. You know what I mean? Hip hoppers aren't about, well, and they hip hoppers to me aren't necessarily about harnessing or embracing celebrity culture. We're about, you know, representing like the real people that didn't have a voice, the people that feel like they don't have the resources and the options to thrive in life. You know what I mean? You become that. That's why it was one important thing to also stay in my community, especially at the height of my visibility when I first got signed. Like, I didn't move. I stayed in the community because I wanted you to see. You might see me in the market. You might even see me at the laundry. But then you might see me on BET. You know, I was a real tangible element, and I'm not the only one. I was exposed to that level of, I don't know what that would be called, accessibility. I was that for some people, and some people have been that for me. So again, that's just a level of understanding that some of us are afforded and some of us have to grow into. You know, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you definitely. I mean, it's and what inspired the question too is, and this is for, you know, some of the younger heads where, let's say in Toronto, New York, if your stuff is not up to par, you're getting, and you're doing this, you know, people are throwing stuff on stage, you're getting thrown off the stage. So the culture was very much policed. You know, we'd say called whack MCs or whatever. It's like, no, like, keep it moving, you know, keep your day job.
That's what it was. It was about the business. And to sum it up, just to say that just educating yourself about the components that make up the industry from whatever level that you're gearing towards thriving in. But some people, they don't, you know, they don't feel like it's their goal to monetize every aspect or, you know, gain all these riches for doing what they do. And some people, I think some of the roles need to be defined, like even selling out. Like our objective, for me, my objective is to sell out, but just not at the expense of my integrity. If I produce a project, I want it to do well, but just not at the expense of me prostituting my gift or myself. But that's a personal choice, and that's one that I was raised to know that I had to have a certain standard, especially being a woman. You know, so that was for me. My hope is that whatever I have presented up, even up until this point, that some people are inspired by, to take that part away, to take the respect part away, to take away the courageous enough to be yourself regardless of what obstacles face your way. And it preserves you too. I'm almost 60.
Right.
I cracked myself up with that one.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because I still can't believe that I'm me after all this time.
Yeah.
You know, transparency is important. You know, it is.
That's right. And then black does not crack. Because
That's what they
I
say.
got to be honest, you know what I mean? Looking at
I'm indigenous. We look good.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And this is what a lot of rappers. This is why I mean, you have rappers that you're buying tickets to their shows, and they're like grandparents, and you know what I mean? Like you may not know that, but that's what's up. You know, the culture has grown up and left the hood. Ish. Does rap have, you know, as far as quality control? Back in the day, it's like there's a lot of people rap, you know, because it's accessible, and you could just get your laptop, go in the studio, you know, put stuff out there. But is there a quality control problem? And I root that in the, you know, as far as having, you know, the source. Like we say, okay, don't even know. There's a 1 out of 5. Don't stop making music. You know, What do you think?
Well, because of the means to release music, there's a lot of unseasoned artists that are putting music out into the atmosphere. But like Bahamadia said, it's because a lot of people recognize it as a business. It's not an artistic endeavor to them. This is a business decision to gain popularity and a chance to get rich. So it's a different set of objectives than when we stepped in the game, you know? But again, it's their choice. The United States has kind of gone a lot money crazy, you know, since the 80s and the 90s. Business-wise, regulation has been lifted on all aspects of life. So it's difficult to release any type of regulation and then instill a sense of wanting quality control in a society when all our society really wants is to be famous and get rich. So there's 100 times more product with less desire for quality over proliferation. So that's gonna yield, from a perspective of from our generation, is gonna be like, oh, that stuff is weak because it's not held to the same standard. Is it necessary? Do we need it? It could be argued, but for what though? You know, it's you have to try to excavate out the things that you like and respect and think is cool and rock with it and support it. And things that you don't feel is up to par, you kind of have to try to avoid it if you can, which is tough too because they push it at you, you know, but it is what it is.
And then the quality control thing, right? I feel like you have to warrant the position of authority to even dictate what gets 4 or 5 mics. This is the only movement in culture where people can just pick up a laptop, you know, and just become a critic or start a blog or whatever the thing is now for media now. To just start that without honing their chops, without having any background in the culture. Like, how are you critiquing my art when you've never done that yourself? You haven't lived my life. You never programmed a beat. You never perfected a sonnet, nothing. You never learn how to even articulate your emotion enough to do what we do, but you have the right, or you feel like you have a self-appointed right to critique us. I think that's something that needs to be tackled as well in the industry.
Absolutely. I always say, that's my personal opinion. I don't think a lot of people even qualify to critique the art that Shabazz Palaces or Bahamadia are, but that's my personal opinion. I read this piece a couple weeks ago written by Dream Hampton. So she's a longtime journalist and activist. She wrote a piece in The Atlantic magazine. Both of you are intimately familiar with Dream Hampton. And so in the piece, an interesting piece where she talks about how hip hop to her feels a little, she says it feels a bit broken and a little less revolutionary. But that she also hasn't necessarily given up on the culture, all right? Now, Dream Hampton, she's been around forever. She was writing for The Source when I was writing for The Source, Vibe magazine. She co-wrote that book Decoded with Jay-Z, which is a fantastic read. And she was also responsible for that documentary Surviving R. Kelly, which most people arguably say led to him being locked up. It sort of exposed a lot of the wholly inappropriate things he had been doing over the years. Most recently, she actually produced a Netflix documentary. She worked on that called Ladies First, that you're in. It's on Netflix right now. It just came out. You all should check it out. Now, in the story, she sort of references how rap, introduced her to some big ideas. So she listened to a KRS-One song called Beef, which is an anti-animal cruelty manifesto, and that turned her into a vegetarian, all right? She also references listening to Public Enemy lyrics and how that taught her about Assata Shakur, the Black Liberation Army activist, is living as a fugitive from America and Cuba right now. Now, I wanted to ask you all this idea about rap music. She looks at it as being, certainly protest music, music with a message, rebel, outlaw, maverick music. Is rap music still feel that way to you two, as far as rebel music, counterculture, outlaw, maverick sound, right? Does it feel that way to you in 2023? Go start with Ish. Yeah, like rebel music. Yeah, rebel music, outlaw, maverick, protest music. Does it feel like that to you in 2023?
No.
Okay. And why not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's been a lot of years. Things are gonna change. The United States has changed a lot. The world's changed a lot. Again, in the pursuit of fame and money is the preoccupation of America popular culture. It's less about flexing style and ideas and taking chances than it is proliferating a homogenized thing that has proven in a marketplace that's gonna get a result with the least amount of possibility for failure, So it's just about something totally different than it was when I got into it,
Okay. I'm gonna come back to you. What do you find, if you were to be critical, right? Because there are things I was actually just talking about, the things we appreciate and adore and appreciate about the culture today, and other things, we may find mildly annoying. For you, if you were to put on that critic's hat that I wear 24/7, what would you say most annoys you, infuriates you about contemporary rap music?
I wouldn't use those words, but there's a focus on things that are detrimental to humanity, death, drugs, misogyny. It's difficult to maintain a healthy culture with those things as pillars in your creative output. That's basically what I would say with it.
I'm going to be balanced too, and then I'll come to Bahamadia. What parts about the culture today, 2020, do you appreciate? Do you love? Do you adore? Do you support?
Energy, indefatigable effort, using the newer technologies to try to figure a way out of circumstances and into other ones. I like the creativity. I like a lot of the rhythmic stuff that people are doing with the beats, and a lot of the rhythmic styles also with the cadences and stuff like that. I'm not particularly into the new fashion, but I like the daringness of it and the colorfulness of it. The entrepreneurial attitude is strong and rich and is building community. And also the proliferation of my culture in popular culture, television, film, TV, with varied cultural examples from Africa, the diaspora, and also in a lot of different countries. Hip-hop has influenced all aspects of life, and I feel proud about that. So that is balance to me.
Okay, Bahamadia, same thing. This idea, when you love something, and rap critics, music critics in general have been, when you love something so much, you're going to critique it. So we're not here to slam anything or crap on it, but it's just like if you love something that much, you're gonna call it out. So Bahamadia, the two sides are. What things do you really appreciate about what's happening right now, and also things that you just can't even stomach?
I just feel like art is indicative of the times. So anything that's popular, anything that's been successful. And that's from the era when I'm gonna speak like when Little Kim first came out. To me, she symbolized the formulaic model for how to market to that demographic of women. We still have that today. But from the mainstream, the commercialization of it, that's definitely going to be, that's corporate. So that's going to be about the bottom line, which is the money. So then the Bahamadia would never get necessarily supported on that platform, because what my message and what I stand for is counter that. So then my objective was to find out where I would be supported, find out where my people are that would help me to extend myself physically and get the messages out and just do the art that I always love without compromising myself. That's what I saw from a business standpoint. So I can't necessarily say I dislike what's going on, because it's expected. And I also feel like those is kind of like a pro in a way, because the people, through their response to this perceived like derogatory imagery and all this stuff, is an indicator of where the problems actually lie. The people that need to be supported with an alternative, or presented with an alternative to what's being exploited and pushed to them. So it's like a social engineering type of thing, you know? It's really deep, you know what I mean? And it's bigger than us all. So that's the way I feel about that. In terms of fashion, I feel like it's nothing new under the sun. In terms of the color palettes and the approach to the styling and stuff like that, it's been taken from what's already been done. So I can honestly say that I've been here long enough to see that it's just a hamster wheel now. No new ideas, but the prolific people that come along, they have to wait till people like us come out with new material so they can extract and continue. That's what I know to be true. Not even a fact, it's true. You know, but
what excites you is, and you can reference artists, just anything. What excites you, you know, as you tune in?
It excites me to be alive for anybody, to witness anybody that's their innate selves, that doesn't have a demonic tone, though. I need to be clear about that. I'm never an advocate for any demonic aspect of art. You have a right to express yourself and do whatever you do, you know what I mean? But if it's something that goes against what I know to be the truth spiritually, then I'm not going to support it. I think that's the kind of like the solution to anything. If you don't like it, then don't support it. That's how I feel about it. There's too many artists to name that I can't think of any that comes to mind. But I rarely even listen to hip hop, though. I listen to more electronic music. Okay. I'm still a little Devo and people like that, you know what I mean? That's where I get my inspiration from. Because that's been one of those sounds sonically represent some of the most honest times and nurturing times in my formative years, and I have the ability to go back and tap into my inner child from those experiences without staying there.
For sure.
You know, it's not a nostalgic thing, it's just an inspirational thing for me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yep.
I mean, let's talk about that, this idea, you know, multi-genre. You know, we talk about those of us who had been around and seen the culture grow and evolve and devolve in some instances. You know, the earliest DJs, you know, even Africa I bought on Soul Sonic Force, Planet Rock, like it's a lot of electronic music, right? If you, when I used to report for The Source, I used to do Source a lot of Detroit-based artists. So Jay Dilla, you know, I'd written his first story in The Source, Dwele, Slum Village, and so they're electronic music heads, you know what I mean? Like that's where they're digging in the crates. Can, Ish, I'm gonna pick on you because Shabazz Palaces, that's jumping around genres, very electronic. Can you speak to this audience about this idea of Afro-diasporic sounds influencing your art? Although you are technically, you know, it's a hip-hop group, Shabazz Palace is a rapper, but we're hearing a million other things going on in your music. You want to speak to that, multi-genre influence?
Yeah, so I would say that really is just a result of musical, cultural, artistic curiosity, being exposed to more things, taking the time to get into them. Once you do that, you're saturated, you get soaked with things that affect you artistically, affect you socially, affect your life, affect the way you live, the way you see things. The first time I went to Ghana, I got off the plane and walked out into the terminal, out into the street, and the look and feel of the atmosphere, it rearranged my chromosomes, really, because I saw something that was both alien and familiar at the same time. I breathed air that my cells understood, but I hadn't really ever been exposed to before. As my time there progressed, and I was seeing art, listening to music, talking to people, hearing the rhythm of life and language, yeah, it affected me. And that can happen when you're reading a book or listening to any type of music or looking at a painting or a film. So it's really about absorption and then taking what you've absorbed and as a creative person, putting it out using your instinct, which through your instinct you have the best chance at being original by going from your instinct to the finished product without really having anything in between. So I do, and also too, like technology, music equipment becoming more, having more accessibility to record at a higher quality with more different kind of sounds and more machines, more stuff like that. I've always been curious about that, so that's kind of where the electronic stuff comes in, because it's interesting and it's daring and it's like on the cutting edge, so it allows me to create in a way that makes me feel satisfied.
Absolutely. Now, this being the 50th, how are we doing for timing too? Because I want to get some signals. About 5 minutes? 5 minutes, okay. Okay, we're gonna do, and then I want to open up the floor. We got to get a couple questions, all right? Is that okay? Any of y'all have questions? Okay, okay, good. So this year, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, it's given us a lot of time to reflect and reminisce and sort of look at where hip hop culture was, where it is now, and where we think it's going. So I want you to, before we wrap up, to sort of, look into your crystal ball, to tap into your powers of prognostication. Where do you see the culture going, 50 years from now? Will it even be here? I mean, there are other music genres, disco that died. Is hip hop still going to be here in 50 years? Where do you think it's going? What does its future look like?
Perceivingly, disco died. If you're physically traveling and you're in these certain communities and little ecosystems that's going on within the arts community, the global arts community is thriving. That's the perceived notion because of mass media being able to control the narrative to the public, the general public. But I honestly, it saddens me to say this, but I feel like it's going to be completely AI-driven. I feel like this is just where we are. We're in sight and sound, but AI is like able to nearly replicate the human experience. And so that's where it's going to be. Currently, though, as a tool, I still see that it is useful, but it shouldn't replace the innate ability to create. That's the error, is that people have reliant too much on the actual software as being the talent and defining it as talents because you know how they work your machines, instead of possessing that X factor, which is the human spiritual aspect of it coming through the machine through your creative ability or attempt to create. That's just it in a nutshell. But I also see it as being, like, again, a tool because it helps you get to maximize the time. Like, I compose on my phone. I've been doing it for years. Like, I have a series called Dialed Up, produce everything on the phone, beats, rhyme on the phone, mix on the phone. I've been doing it for a while. I thought that would be like the next progression, logical progression step in creating. Because as a DJ, you start out as a DJ, then that evolves into producing, that evolves into you gravitating towards more equipment, that's going to evolve into the electronic scene. It's just innate to do that. And I mean, for people that are designed to do it spiritually.
Okay. Ish, what's the future going to look like as far as rap music, hip-hop culture?
I really don't have the foggiest idea, man. It's tough, man. There's so many things happening in the world that are anti-culture, anti-human, looking like they want to sort of make attempts at making humanity artificial, eliminating humanness from marketplaces and from creativity. But there's always been anti-human movements, like, slavery and things like that. So humans always find a way to last, to not let the times roll over us. And there'll always be an underground that is a resistance and that is rich in humanity and refuses to, die. We're gonna find a way to keep going and keep being fresh and keep creating and keep loving and stay bright. But it's daunting because there's some forces on the horizon that one way or the other are looking to eradicate that.
Okay, thank you. And I do appreciate your Bahamadias. We're going to wrap. Can we take one question? Just quickly? Yeah? Okay, good. But I'd like your response to disco. So when we talk about media, institutions, disco was too black, it was too queer, you know what I mean? So they had to kill it, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. So it perhaps is existing in the underground, but that's why I actually
it's still there. It's still, people still making disco.
Right?
And you can see that you can hear the influences in Maine and pop. Look at Beyonce's album.
Right.
So how is it dead if she was able to reach back and do something that some other artists probably was doing that just didn't have the platform and the resources?
For sure. And maybe there's the answer to where rap music and hip-hop culture is going to go. Might go back underground, right? And just disappear from the commercial realm. Who knows, right? Okay, just a couple questions. Here, we'll go here. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say, personally, I am so influenced by both of you my whole life. Bahamadia, your voice as a woman in the genre has impacted me so greatly, and Ishmael, especially the Sequel Planets, the interplay that you had with Lady Love, it just opened up my mind so much as a young person. And ultimately, my question is this: I loved seeing the joy that you had in expressing the vibrant children and what they're doing in the culture now. And I'm wondering, kind of across genres and across artistic disciplines even, are there people that you feel the same kind of pride and joy for in their artistic output now as, architects and spiritual parents to so many of us?
Is anybody you like? Can it be multidisciplinary or just music? Yeah, just anybody that you're digging. Anything. Designer, musician.
Any
anything.
era or genre?
Or like right now? Open. Wide open question.
People that inspired us or people that we just respect overall?
I was thinking like people that you've inspired that you feel proud of.
Honestly, like the industry is so superficial to you rarely get the opportunity to get your flowers from the people that you directly affect, sadly. So I would have to say the people that support me in the social media sphere, those up and coming artists, the TikTokers, people that I hadn't expected, or at least expected I would garner their attention, especially given the generations, but those are the people that I'm finding, and usually they're not that established. They're just people that are just open and stoked that somebody is accessible that they perceive as being established to inspire them to continue or to begin, they already started, but to just continue what they're doing till they reach their mark or their goal. Within the community though, wow, it's a gamut of people. Some of them are not with us any longer, I don't know. I never really reflect on that because we're just doing it. I never pondered it. That's like me being who I'm perceived as being. Like I still haven't gotten the memo that I'm supposed to be who you guys think that I am as far as the art is concerned, because I know that I'm constantly evolving and challenging myself to be a better version each time. So I hope I'm answering it. I'm sorry if I'm not.
For sure, people, yeah. There's a track called 3 the Hard Way. The people are excited, Cardi B and Megan Thee doing collabos and all that as far as two, female rappers, but go check out 3 the Hard Way, you know what I mean? Like, just as far as 3 MCs that happen to be female, just killing the mic, like 3 the Hard Way. Go look it up on YouTube.
It was actually like the template, I do have to say the collage is definitive work. I since learned through doing my healing journey that it's not a crime to announce what your contribution is to a thing that you sacrifice your whole self to becoming or offering. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of people, again, take pages from all of us, Diggable playing this too. Like, we just are like those standards for the genre, you know, and a lot of people, they won't give us our flowers. Fortunately, I don't have an esteem issue, so I don't, it's not a problem for me, you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, for sure. Ish, who you feeling right now? Anything, just an inspiration? Multidisciplinary musician, and then we got a rap.
Wait, so you said people that I've inspired or that inspire me?
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is like, where do you see your influence?
Oh, I misunderstood.
Oh, yeah. It's tough because I wouldn't recognize it. You know, sometimes people say that to me, musicians or artists, that I influenced them, but I wouldn't have, if I just heard their music cold, or I would have never saw that in there. So it's like that though. You never know how a kernel of inspiration gets processed through somebody and comes out on the other side. So, but I feel pride when I hear stuff like that. But really it's just my kids, you know, like the fact that they trust me and they know that when I say something that I mean it and it's real, and then they can count on me and vice versa. That's the most profound influence that means the most to me, that I can kind of see because I'm looking and I care so much to have maintained that and built that. So that's really what it is for me.
Oh, I can answer you now. I would say Rhapsody, Kendrick, Jid, you know, in that lane. Even a hint of J. Cole. For you, though, I saw Camp Lo from our era, and I thought that was one of the dopest examples of paying it forward when you was in that video with them that time. Like, I thought that was dope. I wish I was afforded that. That's the difference between being a female practitioner and a male practitioner. It's separatism that's always implemented, and they would never allow Bahamadia and the Sexy Red to get together in a conversation where I could actually have the opportunity to mentor her. You know what I mean? Even if you see the potential of them evolving into something different than what they represent at the time. That's it in a nutshell. But those three most recent. Yep.
Okay, nice. Okay, so thank you. I want to thank you, Shabazz Palaces, Bahamadia. Can we give them a warm round of applause? All right. This is the Pop Symposium. It's a part of half a week long of events, Pop Montreal. They are performing tonight, so if you all don't have tickets, you would, come on now, let's be real. Go tell a friend. I don't know if the show's sold out, but you gotta get those tickets. If you haven't already got them, tell a friend, and we'll see them later on. I wanna thank you all for coming out today. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Peace,
you.
y'all.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Bell, let me get a shot. Let's get it.